All right. So, who do you think is winning the Olympics between Flavor Flav
Oh,
and Snoop Dogg?
well, Flavor Flav, but
Really?
yeah,
You'd say
but
Flavor Flav over Snoop? Because I see
Snoop got you
Snoop
saw
everywhere.
you saw Snoop got trolled, right? I mean, Snoop got totally trolled by Simone Biel's mom.
Oh, I didn't see what happened. I had
Oh,
no
you didn't
idea.
see that? Oh,
No,
yeah.
I haven't been. I
Snoop,
mean, I've been
yeah.
away a while. So go
Well,
ahead.
Snoop is there interviewing them as one does, I guess, if you're Snoop Dogg these days, at the Olympics, and he's interviewing Simone Biel's mom, saying basically, what's it like? How do you feel, etc. And her mom just basically goes, "You don't remember, but you totally snubbed us so many years ago. We asked for an autograph, and you were like, you have 2 minutes, 1, 2, and then you were out."
Oh, no way.
Yeah. It was
No
really
way.
awkward and weird,
That's
but it was very
terrible.
funny. Yeah.
That's terrible. Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like if you were going to be somebody today, you'd want to be Snoop. Like he is just taking it to another level outside of the whole trolling thing, which I didn't know about. But
Yeah.
even my wife loves. I mean, my wife has never listened to one Snoop Dogg song ever. Doesn't know anything about him, and like just follows along social just to hear Snoop's comments.
He's having a good life. He's high on life. Let's put it that way.
Hey, maybe that's why the Olympics ratings have turned around so much.
There it
We'll
is.
talk about that in a second.
Just remember, everybody has a story to tell. Tell it well. Of this old marketing.
And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Pulizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This old marketing. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. And I'm Robert Rose. Welcome to episode number 439 for Friday, it's not July 26th, August 2nd, 2024. And with me, as always, is my pal, my colleague, and a guy who we now know didn't get the part of Dr. Doom in the MCU, Mr. Joe Pulizzi.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm really
they're not going to show
his
face, but they have to with the new. So for people that don't know, Avengers announced that it's going to be Avengers Doomsday, and who's going to play Von Doom? I forgot Von Doom's name. I don't know the whole name, but that character is going to be played by Robert Downey Jr., who also played Iron Man and all the other Avengers, and so it's just weird.
It's Victor Von Doom, by the way.
Victor Von Doom,
yes, who is my favorite. I've been waiting for this for
so you're excited
20 years since the first, since the first MCU movies started to come out, and I wanted Dr. Doom. So I mean, Dr. Doom was that was when I was a kid and reading comic books. Dr. Doom was that was my guy. I loved the Doctor. So I've been waiting for this. And so I'm particularly torn on this casting because he's not Robert Downey Jr. I never heard his voice as Robert Downey Jr. He was always sort of he had more of that sort of like I would have loved, for example, like Tom Hardy or somebody to be Dr. Doom.
But Tom Hardy was,
I know. It's
hard to find actors that haven't been at some point. By the way, did you see Deadpool, Wolverine yet?
I have not, but and don't spoil it because I've heard.
I was going to talk about it and spoil it for everyone.
It is. I mean, I have heard that first of all, I've heard it's great. The second thing I've heard is how did they keep whatever they kept a secret?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So you know some of the spoilers?
I know. I kind of know it because because now some of the stars are coming out and going, well, how did you get the part? And all that kind of stuff. So there's I'm guessing a lot of people from the past make an appearance, but that's kind of the only thing I know. And that's all I want to know.
And I'm not. We won't. We'll save it for a month when everybody gets to see it. But I did not. So everybody who follows this stuff knows that the MCU Marvel universe is kind of down. It's on its lower, and it's going to come back now because of Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and Deadpool. I mean, who would have thought that? We need Deadpool to bring back. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And by the way, number 1 R-rated opening I think ever.
Oh, is that
by
true?
revenue?
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, no,
211 million.
I wouldn't doubt it because it's. Well, I'm hearing great things. So, and I expected it to be good, but I did not expect it to be, what it is becoming.
Yeah, I would like to say that movies are back, but I don't believe it.
No, I think
there's
you're right there.
They've had a nice run of movies, and the concern is that they're all number 2s or number 3s or number 4s. There's not a lot of original hits out there that are really taking the audiences by storm. It's all Twisters. You've got Minions 8. You've got whatever it is. Right. You've got all these.
Well, I think it gets to something you and I have talked about many times, which is I mean, the whole sequel thing that's been the way it's been for a decade, right? Yeah. In terms of sequels driving, franchise movies,
Fast and Furious, driving,
of course,
Lord
Fast and Furious 19 or whatever it is. Yeah,
you got it.
Less family, more Vin Diesel. I don't know what it is, but
more Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
But I think
family. It's family.
I think what people really want to know is how was Vegas? Because
Vegas.
Okay,
so Vegas. Went. Yeah, I did go. My wife and I went. We went and celebrated a friend's birthday. It was totally fun. Vegas is still stupid, but I would say this: huge check mark. And by the way, none of this is affiliated or no sponsored. I'm not saying anything but huge big check mark for the Bellagio and their Staywell rooms, which are a very specific floor where no smoking. There's air purifiers in the room. There's they're all hypoallergenic sheets and all.
You didn't smell any smoke.
There was no smoke, no weird hotel smell. It was a big check mark for the Staywell rooms in the Bellagio. Big ups, by the way, also for the food. The food was off the hook good. I mean, even at the stupid little snack bar in the Bellagio, the food was really just great. And I don't gamble. I'm not a big gambler. So we sat in front of some slot machines because our friend wanted to sit in front of slot machines. And then medium size ups to the Cirque du Soleil show.
Oh, how was it?
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to look at. And it's the technology. That's what I kind of got wrapped up in, is sitting there watching, like, how do they do that? Right. And so I'm watching the floor and the water and all that stuff. It's, if you like acrobats, then it's good. Right. They do a lot of flips and dives and, and trapeze stuff. And it's lovely. It's certainly, it doesn't need to be 90 minutes. Let me put it that way. So
did you find a tequila that you really appreciated there? And
no, so that's I guess that would be in the minus column. Is the selection of tequilas at any of the casinos is pretty limited. Casamigos, okay, Casamigos yet again. It's like,
well, I mean, there's a lot of bars and restaurants. I mean, I'm sure.
Well, Casamigos
had a really good selection.
Casamigos is like the Xerox of tequilas, right? So it's
they basically took Tito's formula on vodka and they stole it. And they went, we're going to do what Tito's did, and we're going to do that to tequila, right? Almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's George Clooney. I mean, George Clooney going to George Clooney, right? So they got a good brand. I can't begrudge them. They have a great brand. They just don't have a very tasty tequila. Is my take.
Well, it reminds me, I forgot the name of it. Something about what happens in Vegas, the book. It's a James Patterson with a co-author.
Okay.
And I read that like 6 months ago, and it talks about how Vegas really became a food town. and then it gets into some of the nitty gritty of, how does Cirque du Soleil happen, and how did that all come about, and all that type of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
It's really, really interesting. It's like the origin stories about how Vegas became Vegas as we know today.
Right. The corporate Disneyfied Vegas,
yeah, a little bit, because
really
they take it back to when the mafia was involved, all the way to scrubbing it squeaky clean, even though it's not. But it's really interesting. So you might like that. You like the inner workings of that stuff. But
yeah, it was good. It was good. We had a good time.
Before we get started, I'm lucky. You're lucky I'm here, because I just got back. We were in Philadelphia last night.
Yeah.
And we watched Arsenal play Liverpool, and we went to the I think it's called Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. And I know how much you love Philadelphia.
So it's all there. And by the way, how much I love the Link, and how much I love Philadelphia fans there.
They were there.
Did you get hit in the head with a beer can or with a rock, or did they throw stuff at Santa Claus, or
there wasn't any of that, because in general, European football fans are a little bit better. But the problem is you mix them. It's like if you go to a game in London, in England, whatever, you are in your section. You root for your team in your section.
Oh, sure,
home. Yeah. And if you're away, you have to be in your section. And if you're rooting, or you have a kit on that's part of the other team, they will take you out. They will escort you out. Not the case when you're doing exhibition games in the United States. So we were in the Arsenal section, and there were a lot of Liverpool people there that I think were also Eagles fans. So that should tell you.
It tells me a lot. Yeah.
What was weird is there were 6 of us, and great group of people, for the most part, pretty level-headed, and they got into a shouting, barking match with this other group, because it was just idiocy. And the other thing I don't understand about, have you ever been to any of the stadiums down there?
And where?
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, of course. I've been to the Link.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
So they're all 3 of them are right there, but you can't go anywhere. First of all, there's only one bar close by. It's called Xfinity Live. There's like 8 bars in there, but you can't. There's not a lot going on by those 3 stadiums that are down there.
Oh, also, I will tell you, you can get an amazing Philly cheesesteak down there.
Well,
there's a couple of places right down there that are just, they're like little holes in the wall, but they're amazing.
Okay, well, we didn't find those. Those were. But what I thought was interesting is, we stayed a little bit later after the game, and it's very difficult to get out. So there's traffic for hours after the game, and because you just go to one place, everybody drives to one place, they park, and then they all go back the same way. You can't go out there's no
train. Yeah, there's no train. Yeah,
that's it. So it was interesting watching that happen, and we were like, how does somebody design a city like this?
Well, it's Philadelphia.
I'm sure we have some Philadelphia listeners.
I know we
have
do.
to apologize.
I know we do.
I don't know. You know a lot more about Philadelphia than I do.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I know so much about Philadelphia is because my in-laws lived there for many years. My wife's mom lived right outside of Philadelphia, and my brother-in-law lived outside of Philadelphia. So we used to spend many, many holidays in the Philadelphia and northern Delaware area.
Fascinating.
Yeah, there you go. This is the story of my life, my friend. Yeah.
All right, it's gonna be a humdinger of a.
It's going to be a good show.
I think so.
We got a good show. We're going
to. What do we got going on?
Well, we have Reddit. We're going to talk a little bit about Reddit and how they have now blocked all search engines unless you pay the VIG. And we'll talk about that and what that might mean for the rest of the publishing world. Then we'll talk about Elon Musk doing Elon Musk things. The Muskie scent is back. We'll talk about Northwell Hospital and how they're becoming an Hollywood studio more than just an editorial platform. Just an amazing thing. Then when we get to our winners and losers, I'll talk a little bit about Bandit, a small clothing apparel brand that has made big waves at the Olympics. And Joe will talk a little bit about, Flava Flav as we said in the opening of the show, about his
boy.
participation. Yeah. Then we'll get to our rants and raves, and I'm going to rant a little bit about Google's new AI ad. And Joe will rave about the James Patterson and Mike Lupica tour.
Yeah, we saw. 2 days
Is there somebody
ago,
that James Patterson hasn't written a book with yet? I mean, have you written a book with James Patterson? Because
no, I have not. But I'll talk about it. I was fairly impressed with the show that they put on, and I learned some things that are relevant for us content marketers.
Oh,
so
well, that's
it
good.
Should be. Yes, that's what the rave is about, not necessarily Mr. Patterson, the most,
the actual book,
probably the wealthiest author.
Oh, he's crazy.
Ever.
Yeah,
and sold more than 500 million books.
Yeah, and
it seems like
constantly doing books with presidents, and he did, but didn't he do a book with Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton. And he said, I think he said the one he wanted, the one author that he hasn't done a book yet with and wants to is Pope Francis.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he was kidding either. I think he actually wants to.
I'm
He wants
sure
to
he
ride
wasn't.
around in the Pope mobile.
There was another author that died that the author's wife.
Michael Crichton. I'm reading
Michael
it now.
Crichton. Yeah.
It's Eruption. I'm in the middle of it right now. So
yeah, that's pretty amazing too. Yeah.
It's something else.
Anyway, all right. Getting to our first big story now, which is coming to us courtesy of Tech Radar. Although there's a few places reporting on it, and it is now that Reddit, the huge publishing, some might call it a social media platform, some might just call it a publishing platform. Regardless, it is huge, and it is now blocking big search engines and their AI web crawlers from bringing up relevant posts unless they pay up, and Google already has. The article opens up by saying, if you don't use Google as your search engine, you won't see Reddit posts in your search results, or at least not recent content from Reddit anyway. This is the state of play in the search world right now, following a fresh move by Reddit, as explained by spokesperson Tim Rathschmidt in a statement provided to The Verge. Rathschmidt said, "We have been in discussions with multiple search engines, and we have been unable to reach agreements with all of them since some are unable or unwilling to make enforceable promises regarding their use of Reddit content, including their use for AI. So only Google will be able to surface recent Reddit posts, according to the report, though rival search engines like Bing will still show results for older content on the site." The article goes on then to talk about how this is sort of working. I think this has huge implications for publishers, and we'll cover here in just there's a related story that we can mention here about how Perplexity has now offered up its own sort of licensing deal for publishers. I think this feels like you often tell the story about when the Google people came in, and there was a big question about whether or not you would actually let Google spider the site, and now we're having that conversation in 2024. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I read this a couple times, Robert, and I just thought that this is a very unique case that almost is just only Reddit could pull this off.
Yeah,
because they have a very specific style of content. It's human-driven content, volunteered, if you will, by their huge community. And I was trying to think of, is there another publisher out there that could pull that and say, hey, you can't index my content and hold it hostage? Because this is a ballsy move from Reddit to do this. And now they're saying, hey, it's worth, and then they're going to get money probably from Bing and everyone else that wants to. Perplexity, another one. They're just going to get a bunch of money, and they get a premium because they have differentiated content than anything else out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, is there another?
Yeah, totally. I see this. So, and some of them we already know, right? Which is, when so Reddit, of course, is huge because of SEO, and especially for how-tos, right? I mean, there's sort of a meme, really, more than anything else, of people going how-to and then adding Reddit to their search query because they know that somewhere on the Reddit platform, somebody's had this conversation about how to change a light bulb, or how to fix a washing machine, or how to, there's tons of that.
Yeah. So basically what you do is you type in what you're looking for into a search engine, but you might just put Reddit after it, or you might put site Reddit. So reddit.com,
because you're going to get it, because the sort of reputation, if you will, is that you're going to get a pretty high quality discussion, and you're not going to get one that is necessarily tarnished by, content marketing, quite honestly, right? You're going to get, something that isn't brand sponsored. So there's a whole thing to that. But I could see, so many deep well sites. Cleveland Clinic's a great example, right? Cleveland Clinic right now, I believe still is making a good amount of money from some of the social media platforms, getting exclusive access to their medical health library and health essentials, proactive sort of posts that are all extremely well vetted, extremely well, sourced and cited and all those sorts of things. I could see them, WebMD.
Okay.
I could see this. I could see, all sorts of health related sites. I could see technology sites. I could see, anywhere where there's sort of a deep vertical niche of expertise of existing content sort of pulling off the same thing, right? Especially with something like a Perplexity, maybe not so much with a Bing or versus a Google. But certainly from an AI perspective, when you're looking at Perplexity offering up now a licensing where your deep level content, even for the Perplexity thing, even down to somebody like, you or me, right? I mean, we've got thousands of posts talking about the ideas of content marketing. That's a vertical niche that's worth something. I gotta think.
Yeah, I wonder. That's what I was trying to gather. Is there a play here for your run-of-the-mill content creator? It would have to be extreme, and I guess that's the challenge, right? You have to say how do we truly become differentiated content and build that instead of just, oh yeah, we're 1 of 5 or 1 of 10, or you can find this content anywhere. So yeah, if you could find it, if you can find the content anywhere, and that's the type of content you create, you're not going to get paid. But so I guess
well, and what it opens up in my mind is, if I'm an investor doing a roll up of these things, right? So doing a roll up of deep, because here's the thing with people at our level, right? So think about your own blog or your own sort of website or whatever it is, and it's probably not terribly well. You didn't think about it, right? You didn't think about structuring your content in a really deep well kind of way, and the taxonomy is probably not quite there, and there are big gaps, and all that, because it was all organic. You just did it organic. You're blogging organically for 10 years and you've got a lot of content, but honestly, it's probably not the sort of thing that you've thought about, in sort of a proactive way, unlike the way somebody like a Cleveland Clinic or a or a WebMD or somebody like that would have organized their content from the very beginning. So you look at those sort of deep well content platforms that are out there and probably struggling with the advertising model, maybe not doing great on the subscription model either, and then saying, we could monetize this if we had, 4, 5, 6, 10 verticals to offer up as a platform, because there's strength in numbers, right? So you could make a deal to say, I'm going to purchase 10 of these across healthcare or 10 of these across multiple verticals, and then go to a Perplexity or a Google and make a big deal, right? Yep. Make a larger deal. So I think we're going to start seeing some of those.
It's funny you say that. We've had conversations about this. I've talked to a couple people in our area that said, hey, we have a certain amount of IP around different areas, lots of this content, audio, video, textual content. If we package that up and then we started to get 10 of us, 20 of us, and build that library of content, if you will, can you leverage it? It's a question worth asking.
Yeah,
if you can. Sure. Nobody's really tried it with our group of people. I mean, it's been done on a larger basis with large publishers,
right?
And you package up that content, so there's probably a use case there that you can do it.
Yeah, and there's a business case to be made for someone who wants to create that sort of new walled garden idea, right? So you think about at the tectonic scale, you can think about an Amazon, right? So does it make sense for Amazon to go out and purchase a bunch of very vertical, deep, how-to content places that are popular in order to be able to drive sort of a, very walled areas that would be made only available to a particular search engine or to a particular AI. And the question is now, like, which one's going to win, right? Is it, because something we're not going to cover on the show, but we could have very easily, is the OpenAI launched their Search GBT, product, which, I think is a big yawn, honestly, but maybe it ends up being the winner here. Maybe it ends up among the Perplexities and the search engines. I think
I like Perplexity. I mean, I've used it a couple. I mean, it's
good.
Again,
it's good.
It's just like 1.0 or 1.1, whatever it is, but you could see the potential.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely got opportunities. So I think there's there's the buy part of this, which is setting yourself up as a platform. And then there's the sell part, which is who's going to win, right? Because you want to make the deal with the winner. And so there's going to be a tension there until that stuff starts to shake itself out.
I like the idea. I mean, we talked about it with Eric Church and Morgan Wallen last week with the buying a brand. You find a brand that people that are attracted to, a certain group of people. You've got some really good traffic already, and then you take and you say, okay, here's the products I'm going to add to this, whatever media company is out there. And I think those are like it's a sexier idea to me than saying package it up and we'll sell off we'll get some ancillary revenue from Google or Bing or whatever.
Totally.
I always would look at that as secondary.
Well, that's a brand play, right? Yeah, that's a that's a brand extension play where you take a beloved brand and you just extend it. What was only a magazine, now you turn it into a hotel and an amusement park and T-shirts and product, and you just take the brand and monetize the brand in so many different ways, which is, to me, much more interesting and fun, right? Yeah. But certainly has its own, and almost the exact opposite in the strategy of how you'd want to approach it from a search and AI perspective. There, you kind of want to open it all up, right? So that you're getting those impressions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting impressions and the impression and setting an impression, let's set a few impressions and pay a couple of our August bills here. AI tools are completely taking over marketing. I mean, seriously, AI usage has increased 53% since last year. How do I know that? Well, I know that because I just read HubSpot's latest AI Trends for Marketers report. It's a goldmine of insights and covers everything from the challenge marketers are facing to the AI tools they're using right now to crush their goals. And that's just scratching the surface. You want to know more? Go to HubSpot.com/marketing to download it for free. Are you looking for a new podcast that makes marketing simple? Well, why not make it simple and follow Marketing Made Simple, hosted by Dr. J.J. Peterson and brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. Marketing Made Simple brings you practical tips to make your marketing easy and, more importantly, make it work. Like a recent episode called Getting Unstuck, Your Website's Secret Flaws and How to Find Them, Marketing Made Simple makes things simple and helps you make marketing work. You can find Marketing Made Simple wherever you follow your favorite podcasts.
My
headbanger.
Where's my lighter?
Yeah, that's a headbanger, right?
Well, the first one I was like, hey, it's a little.
I did that for you. I did that for you. I
was
actually
really into that.
My prompt for that piece of music was rap that Joe Pulizzi would like. I'm not even kidding. So I'm glad you like it because it turned out.
And I did like from the first beat. I'm like,
I went rap that Joe Pulizzi would like. Yeah, and I had to do it twice because the first time I didn't turn off vocals. So I should send you the first one that I did that had actual vote, which it makes the voiceover really weird to do vocals there. So I had to do it again with no vocals, and of course it comes up with something completely different. But I should send you the one with vocals because it's better, I would say, actually, with the rap vocals.
I don't know. I think you've got a talent for AI.
No, I don't. No. Let's be really clear. There is zero talent involved here. This is literally type a sentence into a prompt and go, whatever it comes up with is fine.
Well, that's kind of how we do our images too for this old marketing. I'm like,
that's the theme of this show for 10 years.
Like the last one was, I want Google, like somebody biting out of Google like they were biting a cookie. or something like that. That's all I put. And then boom, there it is. Perfect.
Oh,
5 seconds. I love it.
There we
And
go.
My apologies. My apologies to all the designers out there.
There you are. Yeah.
I weep for you.
Well, here, I'll put it this way. If it were anything other than background music for a 30-second spot on a podcast, I would not be doing this, right? I would make my own music, which I love to do. But as a background music of a 30-second spot, it's fine.
Have you made your own music lately? Have you been?
I actually have.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's do a special show. Like we should just when we do, maybe we do our football show.
No.
Okay. You could play some of that music.
I don't think people would.
We could do anything.
I don't think people would like it that much. It's mostly. So I'm doing it mostly for. So my beautiful wife has a business, and she does meditations, and so I've been doing background music for her meditations, and so it's. I mean, it's very.
Cute.
It's lots of tones and stuff like that. So it's more atmospheric sort of music, but. So it'll put you to sleep. Yeah, there you go. So
maybe So send it over to me, and then I'll be like, oh, I can't sleep.
Use
tonight.
it for a sleep aid.
Some of Robert's music that he wrote for his wife.
There you go.
That'll be the way to do it.
There you go.
What do we got?
With the next we're going to talk about Elon Musk. We have not talked about Elon in a long time. We used to get accused of only talking about Elon for many episodes for a while the whole Twitter saga purchase was going along. So we have not done. We actually used to have a little segment, if you remember, called That Musky Scent, and we did a theme song and everything. But it's back, and there are many media outlets posting about this, but this one is particularly egregious because it brings up a lot of issues around content and marketing and what's going on with X at the moment. So this is from The Verge, and basically the headline is Elon Musk's post deepfake of Kamala Harris that violates X policy. The article opens up by saying Elon Musk shared a deepfake video spoofing Vice President Kamala Harris on X. Despite owning the platform, the post appears to violate the platform's own policies against synthetic and manipulated media. The video Musk shared on Friday alters a recent campaign video Harris released, one that makes it sound like the presidential candidate said things she didn't. The manipulated clip has Harris saying things like she's the ultimate diversity hire, that she had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet. Oh, boy. The original account that had posted the video labeled it Kamala Harris campaign ad parody, a disclaimer that might prevent it from violating X's policies. But this context did not appear in Musk's repost. Instead, Musk simply posted the video, adding his own commentary. This is amazing with a laughing emoji. It's just the latest in what's been going on sort of quietly under the covers about Musk and Trump and donations and all the things that are going on with X. And, there were some articles about Linda Yaccarino just not being able to get anything done. There was some secret stuff the New York Times has reported on that basically revenue is now to about $100 million.
Oh, yeah, that just came out. Like it
just came out.
Down 52% from the last year.
That's right.
It was?
It's a tiny little company. It's amazing how small that company is now. I mean, in terms of, it won't be long until it's about the size of Truth Social. In terms of revenue.
Well, I mean, come on. Truth Social is like they've done like $4 million in revenue.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
So this is a little different. I think
a little different.
You're right. It is a rather large piece of influence for not a very large company.
That's right.
Is really
definitely.
So what's the deal here is So the problem is that the CEO of the company is going against their own policy, or are we making too big a deal of it? Is this a big deal or not? I
think it is. Here's why I think it is a big deal. It is because to date, I've seen some stuff in my feed, my Facebook feed, of some AI generated photos. There was I saw one of Kamala Harris and Jeffrey Epstein, posing together on the beach, just clearly AI generated.
Yeah.
And it's getting, spread around. But for the most part, the predictions that were made this was going to be sort of a deep fake central, have largely been quelled. I don't even quelled is the right word, or overblown, or basically we haven't seen it that
We
much.
haven't seen it happen.
It hasn't really come into play. So it seems like things are going okay on that particular. Now we're certainly not seeing some of the extremes on either side, and most of us are just exposed to what's going to come across Threads or Facebook or X or whatever. But in many ways, but this starts to validate some of that, right? In other words, him retweeting, re-Xing, whatever the phrase is these days, this kind of content sort of provides a little bit of a boost, right? It provides a boost to that idea, like, ooh, if I do this, maybe Musk will retweet me, and give me some attention and give my content some attention. And so I hate it for that fact, which is he clearly just thought it was funny, which is he's got a very odd sense of humor anyway, but I don't think he was trying to promote something that was fake necessarily, and probably saw the word parody and went, oh, I'll just do that because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not realizing, the sort of lack of self-awareness there is alarming.
I guess alarming is the word, maybe disturbing is the other word.
Disturbing, but not surprising, I guess is the point.
Because they have there's a few people with so much power right now, and he's one of them. He can really, and the issue is that once you somebody like Elon lifts up a piece of content, you get a group of people, obviously one human being can be amazing, as George Carlin always says, is amazing individual. I can see the universe in their eyes, but you get two or three together and you get a bunch of crackpots.
Yeah,
you get a group of people, you get a mob together, and they start sharing this around and believing parts of it. And that's what's kind of crazy, even around our former President Trump, who, what it came up recently about saying Kamala didn't know Kamala was black. That whole thing.
Oh, well, that was yesterday, and that's that's just insane.
Well, what I'm saying is you get these, and then so normally if you go back 30 years, you're just like, this is crazy stuff. Elon is nuts. Trump is, you'll just say, this is what's going on here. But you take that and you get hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people to rally around that. They start to carry it like a torch, and it's disturbing. And so you have somebody with that much power. Should the government come in and do this? No, I mean, but I don't know how. He's not self-policing himself on his own platform. So what do you do?
Exactly.
And I guess I know I'm struggling to find what the solution is.
Well, the solution is I think we've talked about it many times on this show. The solution is treating these companies like media companies, like publishers, the publishers that they are, right? And so making them accountable for what is on their site. And so there's a whole line and a discussion to have around, talking about that and what the regulation might look like. But ultimately, I think that's the only way we're, with all of these platforms that sort of just shrug and throw up their hands and go, what are you going to do? People are going to be people, we're the town square. No, you're not the town square. You're the town. And, and you have to put some sort of governance on that if you expect it to be a healthy place. And so I don't know. It gets to a bigger, deeper, certainly much more political discussion on that.
Well, I think that you're correct. So basically what you're saying is you have these social media companies that have been protected. What's that? I forgot what the article was. They're basically they don't have to abide by the same regulations as a traditional media company would, like Reuters or a New York Times or something, right? That's what we want.
That's right. Section 230. It's Section 230.
Thank you. Section 230. Yeah. And that's what basically we want. We want that to go away.
That's right. That's right. It was a protection that was set up in the, I believe, late or mid 90s as platforms started to come online. And they argued that because the content was not within their control, these online platforms, and in those days they might have had a bit of a, you know, a bit of an argument to make, because there were no algorithms, right? There were no, everything was there, right? Everything from everybody was there, and there were no filters, there were no algorithms that optimized content. And arguably, when that started to happen, when you started to have human built algorithms to edit the order and display and priority of content, you took on a human editing, you know, role. And at that point, you're no longer a free-for-all platform. You are a publisher. And that argument's a pretty strong argument in my mind, and means that you have to be responsible for that. You have to be responsible for all the things that go on there.
Well, unfortunately, they fired everyone in Twitter moderation. So
yeah, of course,
there are nobody. There is nobody doing anything there.
Right.
And the sad thing is, he has so much money, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Is that, you know, you get to a point where, you know, there are no ramifications, right? It's just like, you know, I mean, literally, again, it's like, shrug your soul. Like, what are you going to do? You know, Elon going to Elon.
And he feeds off of it. Yeah. And he feeds off of it. He wants it. He feeds off
of
that
course.
controversy. He wants to be, he loves how he can go into the Elon Musk news and see that every hour that somebody is suing him, or there's something he said is being covered. He can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and we'll see what happens. I mean, Tesla did not have a good quarter. So, you know,
well, it's a very competitive field where it'll be interesting to see in 10 years if Tesla is the leader in the automotive market.
Yeah.
Or if that it just comes down to reality.
Yeah.
I think it reminds me more like a Philip Morris type of thing, where they were at one point one of the largest companies in the world, and then now they're just a company selling stuff.
Yeah, small, and they're not called Philip Morris anymore. They're
Altria. I thought they went back to Philip Morris. I think it depends. I think it's odd years is Philip Morris, and Altria is on the even years.
Years that end in numbers. Is that what you're basically saying? Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on to much better and more interesting marketing news for sure. This article coming to us courtesy of the Hollywood Reporter, and big ups to Mr. Joe Pulizzi for finding this. This is an amazing example of content marketing here. The headline is: New York's largest hospital system is setting its sight on the entertainment business. Northwell Health, and I will tell you, I know Northwell Health here in Los Angeles, which operates 21 hospitals and 900 outpatient facilities, is launching a studios division that is developing scripted and unscripted content. Northwell Health, New York's largest healthcare system, is betting that the entertainment business can bolster its bottom line and drive health awareness in the process. Northwell says that it's launching Northwell Studios, a new production company that is developing scripted and unscripted film and TV content that will leverage its facilities, doctors, and patients with, of course, consent. Hospitals and health have long been a topic of interest for documentary filmmakers, and Northwell has taken notice. HBO's One South, Portrait of a Psych Unit, debuted last month and was filmed at Northwell's Zucker Hillside Hospital in Queens. Netflix's Lenox Hill follows doctors and nurses working at Northwell's well-known Upper East Side Hospital, and the 2021 COVID-19 documentary First Wave was filmed at multiple Northwell facilities. Storytelling, this is a quote now, storytelling through film and television is a powerful way to spark much needed dialogue around critical issues facing society. At Northwell Health, our previous documentaries and series, we've tackled issues like gun violence, mental health, and the global impact of war. And to make a difference on a national scale, we need to expand and focus our efforts, says Ramon Soto, the president of Northwell Studios and Healthcare Systems Chief Marketing Officer. Love this whole thing. Mm-hmm. What's your take?
This is what we've talked about for how many years?
Yeah.
More companies doing this. It's interesting that it sounds like they did what in many cases we say, hey, try a pilot, do a couple things, don't put all the money into it, do a little testing, see how it goes. And they've done this is like a long time in coming. They've been doing this over more than a decade here and there, and obviously you shared some of those examples. And now they've got their whole studio and they're becoming a media company. So it is a media company around the healthcare practices that also has healthcare services.
Yeah.
Similar to when we say, oh, Red Bull is a media company that just happens to sell energy drinks. And I think in Killing Marketing, we always said that seems to be most innovative companies are that, right? You are a media company covering X, Y, and Z about this information. And then you also sell this other stuff.
That's right.
And it's interesting to see them be very bold about this and say, oh, we're going all in. And we've already seen that it's helping our hospital system. And we're going to take it to the next level. I'm really interested to see what they do with some of their own doctors and nurses and how they're going to cover some of the real life stuff. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm certainly interested to see if it's going to work or not. So.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, it was interesting when I talked to, so if you go back and you talk to, say, for example, our friend Amanda Todorovich, right, over at Cleveland Clinic, and you go, okay, how does this help, right? How does something like this help? How does doing a documentary about, doctors and nurses in a particular hospital, how does that help the hospital, right? From a marketing perspective. And there are a couple of ways. And what Amanda said to me, which was really insightful, I thought, and in many ways, sort of the trigger for all of the things that they ended up doing was they started with a premise that they needed to create a better impression of the hospital brand. And in their case, it's Cleveland Clinic, of the hospital brand is not a place where that are just out to get your money, right? And so healthcare's got, and especially in the United States, healthcare has a bad rap, right? It's got commercial healthcare has a bad reputation and a bad brand for the most part. And so anything they can do to improve the brand from a trust perspective basically gives them the ability to become the choice in the local, from a local area perspective. In other words, if I can deliver trust to a broader audience, even those that are outside of my service area, that brand halo gives me the trust inside my service area. Therefore, if it's a choice between X or Y hospital, I'm going to choose the doctor at Y hospital because they have delivered value to me. I recognize them from that thing. So it makes perfect sense then to do things like documentaries where you show how brave and wonderful and amazing these doctors are at solving, and how much they care about things like gun violence, and how they care about curing cancer, and how they care about these things, because you're creating an impression. And so, I mean, let's face it, hospital services, healthcare services, you're marketing something that nobody wants, right? It's like legal services, right? You're marketing something that nobody wants to purchase. Right? Nobody wants to I really hope I get to go to the hospital today, right? Nobody
can't wait for that colonoscopy.
Exactly. So the only thing you have with the marketing strategy in any kind of healthcare situation like that is to create trust that when you do have that issue, that I'm top of mind as your first choice. And so that becomes the calculus to say, anything we can do to deliver value in our marketing is a good thing. And that makes a perfect business case for something like what Northwell is doing here.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And by the way, it's not just healthcare, right? I mean, any company.
Well, it just applies to everything, right? I
mean,
you just take that same calculus and you apply it to technology, you apply it to legal services or financial services or consulting or whatever it is. And, if your first mantra is, I'll talk about this when I do my winners here in just a second, but anything you can do to solve a problem is basically, that's great marketing.
Yeah. It's probably the number one way to go and market your services today is just to create really valuable, relevant, compelling information to your target audience. And that's the start of the relationship.
There should be a word for that.
I wish there was. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
I'm not schmontent.
Schmontent.
Schmarketing. Schmontent marketing.
Schmarketing. We're going to Boston. Schmarketing.
Yeah. This old marketing. Lacketing.
Okay. All right. Let's get to our winners and losers segment. where Joe and I pick a winner from the last week of marketing or a loser in the last week of marketing. I think we both have winners this week. Do you want to go first?
I do. Yeah. This is really quick. Obviously, it's hard not to pay attention to what Flavor Flav is doing in his sponsorship deal with the women's water polo team.
It's so fun. It's
so basically fun. The short story is, I think the last 3 Olympics, women's water polo have won gold medals, so they're prolific, but they just didn't generate enough revenue where a lot of the people on the team had to take second jobs and third jobs, and they're like, this is ridiculous. And they found Flavor Flav, and they got a 5-year sponsorship deal. And so Flavor Flav is supporting the team financially with a large sponsorship, and also says that he's their hype man as well, and doing a really good job promoting them on social media. Is everywhere around Paris. He's got the headgear on for the water polo team, and he's the biggest cheerleader. And what I really why I wanted to share this is, I think this is such a great opportunity for companies to sponsor things that need sponsoring, and where the advertising model still works really well, where you have the same type of mission as another company, or maybe is it a restaurant out there that if you're a local company, something like a restaurant or a services company, so how do you help them? How do you work together on something? Those types of things. I think there's just a huge opportunity where there is no sponsor, where nothing's being done. You could say, there's an opportunity there. I love that company. I love that brand. I love the people that work there. I want to support them. And in doing so, will also help myself. I mean, I'm under the assumption that if you look at Public Enemy and their music, I guarantee you more people are listening to Public Enemy music right now because of what Flavor Flav is doing, because he's out there helping
100%.
People. So, I mean, that's pure content marketing, if you will, from that perspective.
It is
so
totally great. Yeah, it's great content marketing. It's great for keeping him relevant in the as a brand and all of that. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. And by the way, my winner this week is also a win-win, and also with the Olympics. And by the way, special thanks to Ruth Carter for sending this idea over to us. They sent this over, and it was just a great story. So I had to talk about it. So there's this company called Bandit, and they're a small, tiny little sports apparel brand. And what they did was so interesting. So basically, when you get to the Olympics, everybody's sponsored, right? Everybody has sponsorship of some kind. And so, but when you're trying to get into the Olympics, when you go to, for example, the track and field qualifications, the national championships, there are a number of unsponsored athletes that don't have a lot of choice about what they can do. They can either, there are of course the big stars that are at the qualifiers that, they're wearing Nike or Adidas or Reebok or whatever it is. And so the problem is that those unsponsored athletes have a choice. They can wear like a Nike or an Adidas and basically give them free advertising, or they can sort of show up in their own unbranded clothing and go kind of unnoticed. And so what Bandits did was fascinating. So they've done it 2 years in a row now. This year, for 2024 at the qualifiers, they sponsored 35 athletes and gave them basically black, logoless, brandless clothing. Mm-hmm. And they all wore the exact kind of same thing. And so, and the key is they sponsored them. They gave them money for hotels. They gave them money for food. They gave them money for travel expenses, all those kinds of things to be at the qualifiers. And then as part of the sponsorship deal, and this is the part that's just amazing, they have a rider in their contract that basically says you can opt out at any time. In other words, if you do well at the event and you actually get on the Olympic team, you can negotiate with whoever you want. You can negotiate with Nike or Adidas or whoever it is that you ultimately get to. And it's like, well, why would they do that? Well, they got huge brand awareness because of this. They're covered. The social media coverage on this was huge because it was like, why are they all wearing the same things? Well, it turns out it's one sponsor. It's this Bandits. Now it's like the CEO was like, we got amazing coverage on this. We got amazing impressions. We got amazing brand awareness. We're tiny. We're competing with the big leagues. 3, by the way, of their athletes actually made the team and so therefore got sponsorships. So that's amazing. And then here's the punchline. They're actually in the Olympics now because the St. Vincent's and Grenadines nation, their sponsor pulled out at the last minute. So the Olympic advisors called up Bandits and said, do you want to sponsor them? And they said yes. So they're now at the Olympics with regular sort of sponsored outfits on for the St. Vincent's and Grenadines team. And now here's this tiny little brand competing with, and being around the Adidas and the Nikes of the world in a way that it didn't cost them all that much money, but it gave them sort of an amazing brand awareness, and they're at the Olympics. It's a key sort of lesson for us as small time marketers that we can play in the big times if you just play a different game.
I love it because somebody was curious enough to ask the question, right?
It's exactly.
What about all these athletes that are wearing all other and they're not this is not fair. This is not right. I just love it. I love the whole story about
and
it.
You think those, imagine all those other athletes that got deals, how grateful they are, right? How grateful, so they're going to get great word of mouth on this. They're going to get all kinds of wonderful stuff on this stuff.
So good. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's an Olympic themed sort of idea here. And we'll get to our rants and raves section where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave that makes us feel like Robert Downey Jr., we won the part of Dr. Doom, or honestly, that we won the part of Dr. Doom. I'm still torn on this. I just don't know how to feel about it.
I think he's a great actor, at least a good actor. I think that
he's a great actor.
I think he'll play the role the way it needs to be played, and you won't be the worst thing that you could think of is you're thinking about Iron Man. Well, that's what you don't want to have happen.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just so closely associated with Iron Man that you go, I mean, if he didn't, I mean, look, the MCU has brought actors for different parts before. That's not a new thing. They've brought in the same actor for different roles before, but this is like taking one of their iconic roles and saying, we're creating another iconic role here, right? The idea that Dr. Doom would be span multiple movies and giving it to the same actor that basically launched us. It's like, I don't know about that.
But it didn't hurt. What's Captain America? What's the actor's name?
I can't remember his name. But I know what you're saying. Yeah.
He played Johnny Fire or whatever, Fantastic Four, and that didn't. Although that didn't do very well, but
right there you go.
It's still it's that example. All right, you want me to go first here?
Yeah, you can go first. Yeah, you got your James Patterson.
So my wife and I, my wife has probably read every James Patterson book that's out there, and James Patterson is coming to town with Mike Lupica. They have a new book out together, which is something like their 6th or 7th collaboration. I think it's called My First Kill or something like that. And it was great because it started right on time, 7:00, started on time. And the two of them just come right out together. And they started saying, hey, Mike and Jim, they're very nervous to come out here. So we thought we'd loosen up the crowd. So I wasn't expecting that. So first of all, I just thought that was great. They came back in and talked a little bit about their writing process. And the one thing that I wanted to share, because a lot of questions were asked about how much do you write? And are you writing all the time? And how do these things happen? And how long does it take? And both of them said that we write every day. Even Saturday and Sunday, we write at least for a little bit on those days. And it's just like, if I don't write, I feel guilty if I haven't done that. And they basically said, if we want to keep being great writers, we actually can't lose we have to write every day. And I just thought that was impressive. And, even when I think about like preparing for a marathon or running, it's like, you have to run. You cannot stop. You have to do it over and over and over again. And you kind of build that expertise over time. And it was just great to hear that's what they do every day. And the other thing that was interesting is somebody asked him, James Patterson, who goes by Jim, apparently, what does he feel about some states or localities banning books? And he said, I treat it like I want to have say with my family what we can and cannot read. And I do not want any governmental entity involved in my choice for what I read. And I said, and I will give that
Right.
opportunity to anyone else. And I thought that was a great answer. I do not want the government making a decision for me what I should read. And it's really interesting how he said that. So I thought that was great. But anyways, just for all of us, it's just because I'm trying to get my novel writing chops back. So that was very important for me to listen to them and how they outline everything. Every book is outlined ahead of time. Generally, 7 to 10 pages of notes, and then here's the book, and then they get started. And I guess with every one of you talk about all the different co-writers that Patterson has. I guess with he writes every outline himself and then gives that off to an author to write. Isn't that interesting? So
that's fascinating.
It was really fun. They were super funny. Everybody loved them. And then they went on and they talked about how they were going to Dunkin' Donuts because that's their favorite place on the planet. So
nice.
So there you go.
Nice. I like it.
All right.
I like it.
What do you got?
All right.
What do you got?
I got a bit of a rant. So I was, as one does, I was watching the Olympics, and of course this ad came across from Google, basically talking about how this man's daughter was a fan of a track and field star and wanted to write a fan letter to the track and field star, and basically then went on to say this needed to be a special letter. So what did I do? I went to Google's Gemini AI and had it write the letter for me. And it's just awful. It's just this awful idea of how this little girl is going to need to depend on Google's Gemini to write the fan letter to this special person that, Olympian that she wants to write a letter to. And it's just yet another example of these bigger companies that are selling AI to us that just, for some reason, can't read the room. It's just amazing to me how they're sort of positioning this technology as something that is ultimately where creativity is a problem to be solved. And it's just not a problem that needs to get solved for anyone. And there's just so many other places to focus in on where generative AI can be helpful. And it's just, I can't get my head around why the marketers at these larger companies continue down this road when all they see is pushback from it. I mean, nobody's looking at that ad and going, oh, that's amazing. You mean I can have generative AI create a letter for my daughter to send to her favorite star?
Yeah.
No, they're just not. And it's creating this impression that AI is sort of this thing that we as humans need to be worthy of. They're making the technology the hero of the story, and it's just a stupid idea. So it's my total fail.
It's funny because I saw that and I was really paying attention to the ad because I'm interested in what Google's doing. And I'm like, immediately I yelled out, why didn't she write the letter herself?
Right.
It's like
in crayon with misspellings and a little drawing and a whole
letter yourself.
Right.
It's like, don't go to Google and say, I want to write a letter and please put this in it. Oh, like, geez, you totally missed it.
Right. And by the way, the letter sucked. I mean, that's the other thing. The letter itself was just like, meh, who cares?
Meh. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right.
Meh. Anyway, what do you got this week? You got to go. You're off to do something.
No. Monday is our 18th annual Orange Effect Foundation Golf for Autism.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We have over 140 golfers again this year coming together. Some great sponsors. So, I mean, it obviously takes a lot of work to put these together. And so I golf in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I'll sell raffle stuff and walk around and talk to people and whatnot. But just praying. You're
gonna walk around and be me.
Be me in my orange shirt and do that. But nice. I mean, we've been, ever since this thing started, we've been able to raise, we're getting close to almost $1 million that we've been able to distribute out to over 400 kids in 39 states to help them with their speech therapy or speech technology needs. So this golf event was kind of the thing that started it all. So that will be Monday. Looking forward to it. So how about you, sir?
Love it.
Thank you.
Not much. Just working, doing a bunch of work on client stuff, keeping busy, kicking off August in a big way. So, it's work.
I know. And then we'll have to announce. We'll announce next time when we're going to do our special NFL show.
Yeah,
so we got it because
for sure
coming up.
For sure,
like we only have like 3 weeks until start of the season or something.
I know. It's. I'm going to the preseason game next week, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah,
I hope Dak plays for you. But he probably won't. But maybe he will. All right.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. We so appreciate you and hanging around and all that kind of stuff. And we will see you again next week. And until we see you again next week, just remember, everybody, it's your story to tell. Tell it well. See you next week on This Old Marketing. Hey, thanks a lot for making it this far in this week's episode, and thank you all for being a part of This Old Marketing. You can check out all the show notes of what we talked about today at thisoldmarketing.com, and it's also where you can leave us a review or a voicemail. We need those reviews and comments on whichever platform you follow us on. And if you haven't followed the podcast, please go do that and make sure you catch the latest and greatest episodes every Friday morning. We're on Apple and Spotify and all your other favorite podcatchers, of course, but we'd love it if you went over and subscribed to us on YouTube. That's right, YouTube. youtube.com/@thisoldmarketing. We'll see you again next week, folks, with another episode of This Old Marketing.